What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're actually going to be comparing two libraries. And I haven't done a comparison video in a while, actually. So this is an exciting one. And we are taking a look at two specifically ethnic-based libraries, particularly in the Asian style. And these are Jade Ethnic Orchestra from Stress Sampling and Phoenix Orchestra from Orchestral Tools. These are both oriented towards the Oriental side of the orchestral spectrum. And so they have a little bit of overlap in both of them. And there's been a few conversations talking about both of these libraries, whether one is better than the other, or who enjoys using one more than the other. And I have my own personal choice on that for a few reasons, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But today I want to go into a little bit of each of the libraries, show you how they compare with some of the instruments, and then we can, or you can come up with your own verdict based on that. But before we get started, I want to share with you my sample library buyer's guide. If you don't have that yet, it's basically a comprehensive list of all the orchestral instruments that I personally use on a near daily basis. I don't recommend everything. I basically recommend the stuff that I like to use, and because I get those questions all the time, I put this guide together. So it's 100% free. If you click on the first link in the description box, you'll get it, and you can use it as a guide for your next library purchase if you like, or just as a reference whenever you want. So anyway, let's dive into this comparison. First of all, let me talk about my personal approach when using these types of instruments. I'm a big fan of instruments that not only have a good sound quality, but also have character in them. And by character, I just mean they have a liveliness, and you can really hear the hall that they're recorded in. So as a result, I tend to like instruments that are a little more on the wetter side, meaning they have a little more of a reverberant sound. So keeping that in mind, you would think that I would enjoy Jade Ethnic Orchestra more in that regard, and that would be true in this case. So this library was basically recorded in a scoring, in a hall, or in a big, large room, basically, in Beijing. And I believe this Phoenix Orchestra was recorded at Karma Studios. So kind of a smaller space, if I'm not mistaken. And you can really tell by the sonic signature, as we'll hear in a minute, that the instruments tend to be a little bit on the drier side. So let's start comparing. You can see I've got two tracks here, one for Jade and one for Phoenix by OT. And I've pulled up a few of the instruments. So Phoenix tends to be a little more on the Chinese side, specifically, whereas Jade Ethnic Orchestra not only has Chinese instruments, but it also pulls in some Vietnamese instruments. It has some Mongolian instruments with the strings, and also some Japanese instruments with the shakuhachi, for example. And so that's basically the idea behind this. I'm going to close my mail here. Sorry about that. And that's the idea. So let's get into it. First of all, let's compare the first solo erhu, the most traditional Chinese instrument, I think, that comes to mind, which sounds like this. Okay, let's compare that to the erhu in Phoenix. So I'm just going to go into my mixer, make sure the erhu is the only thing that is loaded here, which it looks like it is. I've loaded in both the spot and the tree microphone. And here you notice that I chose expressive vibrato just to kind of match what we just heard in Jade. So here we go. Just a little side note about the erhu, actually, you'll notice that as it goes into the higher register, it actually doesn't cut through as much, and it actually gets a little wispier and a little quieter, whereas in the kind of the middle register and the lower registers, it really starts to sing, which I really like. But comparing the sound between the two, you'll notice that Phoenix is actually more forgiving when it's presented in a soloistic context, I believe, just because if it's a solo erhu, it's actually meant to sound as a solo, like one instrument. And I personally feel that OT or Phoenix does a better job at this because exposed, it actually sounds like one dynamic layer. It sounds like one instrument, even with all the vibrato going on. The legato transitions are smooth, and because it's so crisp and so clean, and you don't really hear any of the room noise, even with a tree mic loaded in there, as you can see here, it stands up to scrutiny, as you can tell. Whereas for Jade, you can hear, if I play this one more time, right? It sounds beautiful, but it has more of a chance of sounding like two players at the same time or more than one instrument. And you just notice it has a lot of more of the room's tone in there as well, which I personally like. And I don't actually mind the fact that it sounds, more like one or two instruments, just because like I don't really care about that. And if I'm going for a soloistic context, then yeah, I'll choose this patch. But if you're going for something that you really want just that soloistic sound and you want to make sure it only sounds like one instrument, then Phoenix might be the better way to go. Let's move on to the actual ensemble though. So let me just set this up here. Make sure I'm turning these off. Erhu ensemble. I'm going to turn on the spot and the tree just to get that detail and the room tone in there. And in Jade, we have basically the close loaded up first. So even with only the close mic loaded in, you'll hear the room tone in there. Now, to me, that actually sounds like they're sitting in a concert hall and actually playing with each other, and that's really beautiful. I love the ambience that comes with it. So let's actually go over here to Phoenix and hear what this sounds like. So much less of a tail there, but very, very crisp, very clear. And again, if you're going for that defined sound, then Phoenix is definitely the way to go here. But again, Jade Ethnic Orchestra definitely has more character and it has more liveliness in the sound, in my opinion. And so I just personally find Jade a more inspiring library because of the actual out-of-the-box tone that it gives me and the inspiration it gives me. It inspired me to write the piece Internal Resolve, which is on the channel. Anyway, so that's basically the bowed strings there. Let's take a look at the lower strings it comes with. And so Jade opts to go with the morankur, which is a Mongolian stringed instrument. And it also has a bass morankur as well, or a double bass morankur, if you will. And that kind of sounds like this. And let's move on to Phoenix's equivalent, which is actually a cello ensemble. So they actually opted to go with the Western alternative for the low strings, the traditional cello. So I'm just going to keep the mic on here and have a listen to the cello here. So in the low string department, excuse me, I don't really have a preference here. I enjoy both. It really depends on the type of instrument that you're going for. So yeah, either one or both of them work very, very well here. Let's move on to a couple of the woodwinds. Sorry, actually, before we do that, let's hear the plucked string. In this case, we have the yangkin, and I should find it here as well. Let me just take a look. Okay, and where are you? Here it is. So let's pull up the spot and the tree because I want to compare at least fairly, you know. So we have the detail in the spot mic, and we have the ambience in the tree mic. And for let's actually turn off the Hall and the Decca mics here in Jade to get a comparison. Anyway, this is the Yangkin. Okay, let's move on to the Phoenix version. Okay, and let's take a look at the woodwinds. So yeah, again, you notice how the close mic already has a lot of room tone in it. So it really depends on the type of sound you're going for, but with the Decca and the Hall included, you'll actually get more of that room tone, and that's something you may not want. So again, for that drier, more detailed sound, Phoenix seems to be the winner here. For a more characterful, lively room tone sound, Jade wins hands down for me. So let's move on to the Bawu here. By the way, this is the updated version of Jade, so it contains new samples, new scripting, key switch patches, and all that, which is really cool. Just going to turn off these existing instruments here. So here we have the spot and tree, of course, and for the Bawu in the Jade version, we have all three mics loaded as well. Okay, and then Phoenix. Okay, let me just compare the ranges here. Looks like the lowest note here in the Jade Bawu is a D, and the highest note seems to be an F there. In Phoenix, it's also a D, which is nice. Oh, sorry, I have to, yeah, okay, that's fine. Phoenix, it's a D. Highest note here is an E, just so we know. Cool. Alrighty, and the CU, one of my favorite instruments. Let's just find that. There's the CU. See, the range here is a little bit bigger. Just go here and solo that instrument up. Where are we? Right there. So spot in the tree. Let's play the Jade version first. Very, very lively, this one. Non-controllable vibrato there. I believe you can have no vibrato or enable vibrato, if I'm not mistaken. For the OT version, I believe you have these four styles here. So no vibrato, vibrato, progressive, and expressive. I just went with expressive for this one. And again, even with the tree and the surround mics turned up, you hear the tail is very, very minimal there. Whereas for Jade, you can hear it ring out for a while, right? So pretty consistent vision in terms of tonal sound and the way it's recorded across the board. Finally, let's hear some percussion. So Jade has these X3M patches. Let's quickly show you here. Percussion. You have all these different instruments. I just pulled up the general orchestral percussion patch here, or Chinese percussion patch, and it sounds like this. Okay, and let's take a look at Phoenix. So it's actually mapped all across the entire keyboard. Let me just find it here, Chinese percussion menu. From the lowest note here, which is the A, actually that's a C, sorry, all the way up to this high D right there. Yeah, so. Beautiful percussion playing, right? Okay, so anyway, that is a very brief comparison between these two libraries, both Asian inspired in nature. Jade focuses on not only Chinese instruments, but you also get some Mongolian, Japanese, Vietnamese instruments as well. So you kind of get the whole spectrum, whereas Phoenix kind of markets itself as an in-depth Chinese focused instrumental library. And I think both libraries do a very good job in what they're trying to set out to accomplish. In terms of preference, I like Jade a little more just because of the actual tonal room sound and the way the players interact in this actual library is really beautiful. So those ensemble patches, especially where you hear that lush sound of them playing together, I'm talking about the bow strings specifically, whereas OT's Phoenix has a little more of a clean, pristine, clinical sound almost. And it's like they were very careful with their sampling process, which of course is very nice. So it's really just a matter of preference, matter of taste. If you're looking for that clean, precise, polished sound with very little room signature, or a very flexible option is Phoenix, because then you can add your own room to it and put it in however you'd like. Whereas for Jade, you're buying into the room tone that they recorded this in. Even with the close mics, you still hear the room quite prevalently. And it's just a different approach altogether. So yeah, all in all, these are both wonderful libraries, but for me, Jade is the winner because I would just use it in more cases, and that's all I can say. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped. If you're kind of debating between these two libraries, maybe you're thinking, oh, should I just get both? Depends on really what your application of these libraries would be. I would just recommend you do your research, listen to the walkthroughs, listen to the demos, see what you like. And the cool thing is for Phoenix, actually, you can buy individual instruments, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's part of the a la carte system on Sign. So that means you can actually buy one instrument at a time, depending on what you actually need, which is obviously really cool. So that is that option. If you don't want the entire library, you can just get one or two instruments from the library. Whereas for Jade, you are investing in the entire thing. But it is very comprehensive. It comes with these the percussion stuff here, but the pads themselves are awesome. I've been playing around with those a little bit. And of course, everything else is very deep sampled. You get lots and lots of instruments as well. You also get these voices, Mongolian voices. So really, really nice. So anyway, Anyway, that's the video. Thank you very much for watching. And again, if you don't have my sample library buyer's guide yet, please feel free to download it in the description box. It's, again, kind of my personal favorite orchestral libraries that I use on the daily. And because I've been getting a lot of questions about it, I just wanted to put this together to give to you as a gift for watching this video, and I hope it'll help you out. So thank you so very much for watching. I'll catch you in another video next week, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.